Okay, problem number 2. I'm going to start the same way. So the inverse secant of some number is going to give me an angle. So the secant of this angle is worth u. So instead of writing the inverse secant here, I'm going to replace that with the symbol theta. So I'm really going to try to find the angle, or the sine of some angle. On this one, we want to write this in terms of a secant. So how do I get from a sine to a secant? There's your puzzle. Well, the secant is like the cosine, and the sine and the cosine are connected because we know that the sine squared of theta plus the cosine squared of theta is equal to 1. So let's see, that means that you can do this. So the sine of theta would be the square root of 1 minus the cosine squared. So let's replace the sine with this expression. Okay, that doesn't seem like I'm much further yet. But the cosine squared would be the same as 1 over the secant squared. So 1 minus 1 over the secant squared. And that's sort of ugly. This isn't going to be much pretty anyway, but we can rewrite this a little bit, so it's custom to now make a common denominator here. So I'm going to write that 1 as the secant squared of theta over the secant squared of theta. And then you can see that you have a common denominator now. So on the top you're going to get the secant squared of theta minus 1. The bottom of the fraction is going to be that. And in square roots you can just take the square root of the top and the square root of the bottom. So here we can actually take a square root. So the top we're going to leave, and then this becomes the secant of theta. Keeping in mind that always going to, technically I should have absolute value signs here, but like I said earlier, I'm not too concerned about that. So now I can rewrite the secant, or I can substitute for the secant with a u. So my final answer here would be that it's the square root of u squared minus 1 divided by u. And so that's one way that you can re-express this. So it's clearly not, definitely not the only way, but it does work this way. Okay, thank you.